used to think my layers were classic. Turns out they were just outdated, and everyone could see it except me. If you're still wearing a hairstyle you picked out 10 or 15 years ago and calling it your style, this video is going to feel a little uncomfortable, in the best way. I'm walking you through 5 hairstyles that quietly add years to your face, and exactly what to ask for instead, in language your stylist will understand immediately. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The flat, one-length cut that's draining your face. Here's something most women never hear from their stylist directly. A single length of hair, cut straight across with no layering, actually pulls your whole face down with it. It's not your imagination. The weight of all that uniform length drags at your cheeks and jaw the same way a heavy curtain pulls at a window frame. And if you're nodding right now because you've had the exact same cut since your 40s, that recognition is the whole point of this video. The fix here is internal layering. Not choppy, not a young cut, just movement built into the interior of the hair while the outer shape stays intact. Ask your stylist for this exact phrase. Internal layering with a soft face framing piece at the cheekbone. This tells them precisely what you want without you needing to explain the theory behind it. Here's why this works the way it does. When a stylist cuts internal layers, they're removing weight from underneath the top layer of hair. So from the outside, your length looks exactly the same, but underneath, the hair can lift, move, and frame your face instead of hanging flat against it. The face framing piece specifically softens the hard line where jaw meets neck, which is exactly the area that flat, heavy hair emphasizes the most. The result isn't dramatic in the way you'd expect. Nobody will ask, "Did you get a haircut?" What they'll say instead is, "You look so rested," or "Your face looks lighter today." Because what actually changed is how light moves through your hair, and how your face reads because of it. That's the snapback moment stylists rarely explain. You're not chasing a younger haircut. You're chasing a lighter frame around features that are already there. I heard this from a woman named Carol who'd had the same one-length bob since 2009. She told her stylist, just a trim, nothing different, for over a decade, out of fear that changing anything would somehow look like she was trying too hard. When she finally asked for internal layering, her stylist did exactly that. Same length, same color, same everything from the outside. And Carol said the first thing she noticed wasn't in the mirror. It was in a photo her daughter took at dinner that week. Her jawline looked softer. Not younger exactly, just less weighed down. That's the swap. Before, one uniform length with no interior movement, dragging visually at the jaw and cheeks. After, that same length preserved on the outside, with internal layering and a face framing piece doing the quiet work underneath. Nothing about your length changes. Everything about how your face reads next to it does. Now there's a second outdated habit sitting right next to this one. And it's actually more common than the flat cut itself. And it has to do with what's happening at your part. Part 2. The center part aging you and the fringe nobody's talking about. A stylist told me once that a woman's part line is the single most overlooked aging factor in hairstyling. And I didn't believe her until I actually looked. A dead center part, worn for years without change, gradually widens as hair thins near the crown. And that widening part exposes more scalp than you realize, which reads instantly as older, to anyone looking at you, even though nothing about your face changed at all. The first fix in this part is a simple one. A deep side part, angled roughly 2 to 3 inches off-center. Tell your stylist exactly this. Move my part to a deep side part and add root lift blending at the crown. That root lift detail matters as much as the part change itself, because it disguises the transition zone where your part used to sit. Here's why the side part changes so much visually. A center part creates 2 perfectly symmetrical halves, and symmetry, oddly enough, is what draws the eye straight to thinning at the crown. There's nowhere else for your gaze to go. A deep side part breaks that symmetry entirely. It creates a diagonal line that pulls the eye across your head instead of down through the middle. And the root lift blending fills in exactly the spot where scalp used to show through. Women tell their stylists afterward that their hair just looks like there's more of it. And there isn't more of it. It's simply arranged so the thin spot is no longer the visual center of attention. The second item in this part is the fringe most women over 60 avoid entirely. Assuming a fringe means high-maintenance styling every single morning. A curtain fringe, soft, parted in the center, swept to either side past the temples, solves this completely because it's designed to fall into place on its own. Ask for this. A curtain fringe, cut long enough to tuck behind the ear on bad hair days. What a curtain fringe actually does is soften the horizontal line of the forehead. And after 60, that horizontal line is where the eye naturally lands first, because forehead lines are often the most visible sign of expression over time. The fringe breaks that line into two soft diagonal pieces instead, and diagonal lines read as gentler than horizontal ones, every time, in every face shape. That's the actual mechanism, not a styling trend. It's simple geometry working in your favor. My Aunt Diane resisted a fringe for years because her last one, back in the 90s, needed a flat iron and 40 minutes every morning to look right. When her stylist finally cut her a curtain fringe, soft, long, no blunt edge, she told me she'd forgotten fringes could just fall into place with a quick finger comb. That's the difference between an outdated fringe and a modern one. The outdated version demands your mourning, the modern one respects it. Before, a dead center part with visible thinning at the crown, and a fringe left grown out or avoided entirely. After, a deep side part with root lift blending, paired with a soft curtain fringe that needs nothing more than a finger to fall into place. Two changes, same haircut length, and both work off the same principle, breaking symmetry to move the eye away from where hair has thinned. What I haven't told you yet is the mistake that's even more common than either of these, and it's sitting on top of your head as color, not cut. Part 3. The flat, uniform color making your hair look like a wig. Nobody warns you about this one because it feels like the safe choice. A single, flat, all-over color with no variation whatsoever. It's the color equivalent of the one-length cut from part 1. And it does something similar. It removes all the natural shadow and light your hair would otherwise have, and flat hair, at any age, reads as artificial. Not old exactly. Just static, like a wig sitting on top of your head, rather than hair actually growing from your scalp. The fix is lowlights and highlights placed specifically to mimic how natural gray and silver actually grow in. Not uniform blonde or brown streaks, but soft, dimensional pieces that echo the way real graying hair looks when it's left untouched. Tell your stylist this exact phrase. Add dimensional lowlights and highlights that mimic natural silver growth patterns, not uniform foils. The reason this specific placement matters so much comes down to how light behaves on flat versus dimensional hair. A single uniform color absorbs light evenly across every strand, which is exactly why it can look almost matte, almost plastic, under bright light or in photographs. Dimensional color, placed the way natural silver actually grows. Lighter pieces near the part and temples, slightly deeper tones underneath, creates the same shadow and highlight pattern your hair would develop naturally over decades. Your eye reads that pattern as alive because it's the pattern real hair actually makes. The result shows up first in photographs, before anyone notices it in person. Flat color photographs as a solid block, almost like a helmet, while dimensional color photographs with visible depth and movement even in a still image. Women often say their hair photographs so much better now, without fully understanding why. And this is why. The camera catches exactly what flat color hides and dimensional color reveals. A woman in one of my comment sections, Renata, mentioned she'd been coloring her hair the exact same flat brown for over 20 years because she was terrified of looking like she was trying to look younger, with anything more dimensional. Once she switched to lowlights that echoed her natural silver instead of covering it entirely, she said something that stuck with me. She said her hair finally looked like it belonged to her face again, instead of sitting on top of it like something borrowed. Before, one flat, uniform tone with no light or shadow variation anywhere. After, dimensional lowlights and highlights placed to mimic natural silver growth, creating depth a single color simply cannot produce. The change isn't about going lighter or darker. It's about giving your hair the same shadow pattern it would have grown on its own. There's a fourth hairstyle habit that's sneakier than any of these, because it isn't about cut or color at all. It's about length, and the length most women over 60 are stuck at without realizing it's working against them. Part 4. The safe long length and the over-teased volume both working against you. Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone. Hair past a certain length, when it's fine or thinning, doesn't read as youthful. It reads as heavy, tired, and pulled down by its own weight, no matter how healthy it actually is. Long hair became the safe choice for a lot of women because cutting it felt like giving something up. But past shoulder length, fine hair simply cannot hold shape or movement. And it ends up flat against the head in exactly the way you're trying to avoid. The fix here is a long layered lob, cut to sit right around the collarbone, with graduated layers built in from the mid-length down. Tell your stylist. A long layered lob at collarbone length, with graduated layering starting at the cheekbone. This specific length and layer combination gives fine hair somewhere to move, instead of just hanging. The mechanism is straightforward once you see it. Hair is heaviest at its longest point, and fine hair simply doesn't have the density to fight that weight. A collarbone length lob removes just enough length that the remaining hair becomes light enough to lift and move again, while graduated layers starting higher up, near the cheekbone, distribute that lightness evenly instead of leaving one heavy blunt edge at the bottom. The length itself is doing structural work, not just aesthetic work. The snapback here is immediate and visible in the mirror, not just in theory. Women describe feeling like their hair finally has somewhere to go, after years of it simply lying there. That sensation of movement. Hair that shifts when you turn your head instead of staying frozen in place, is the single biggest marker of youthful-looking hair, more than color, more than any single styling product. The second item in this part is the over-teased, heavily backcombed volume so many women rely on to compensate for thinning at the crown. Big, stiff, sprayed solid volume that actually reads as dated the moment you see it in a photo. Because natural volume moves and teased volume doesn't. The fix is root lift blow drying combined with a lightweight mousse at the root only, never teasing, never heavy hairspray holding it rigid. Ask for this. Show me a root lift blow dry technique with lightweight mousse, no backcombing. A woman named Josephine told me she'd been teasing her crown every single morning for 15 years. Convinced that was the only way to hide thinning there. When her stylist showed her the root lift blow dry technique instead, she said the difference wasn't just how it looked. It was that her hair moved normally for the first time in over a decade, instead of sitting frozen under a shell of hairspray. Before, hair past shoulder length with no layering, plus stiff, over-teased volume held rigid at the crown. After, a long layered lob at collarbone length with graduated layers, paired with natural root lift volume that moves instead of holding still. Both changes work off the same idea. Movement reads as youthful, and rigidity, whether from length or from teasing, reads as the opposite. There's one hairstyle habit left, and it might be the most surprising one in this entire video, because it has nothing to do with your hair's shape at all. It's about texture, and the mistake almost every woman with curl or wave makes without realizing it. Part 5. The over-straightened texture hiding your best feature. This last one caught me off guard the first time a stylist explained it to me. Women with natural wave or curl often flat iron it into oblivion for years, assuming straight hair looks more put together. But natural texture, left to do what it does, actually softens the face far more than straightened hair ever can. Straight hair creates hard, straight lines exactly where a face over 60 benefits most from softness. The fix is embracing a soft, diffused natural texture instead of daily flat ironing. Using a diffuser attachment on low heat to encourage the wave or curl pattern your hair already wants to make, rather than fighting it. Tell your stylist and ask for this at home too. Cut for natural texture, and show me diffusing technique instead of straightening. The reason this matters comes down to line and shadow again, the same principle from parts 1 and 2. Straight hair creates one continuous hard line down each side of the face, and hard lines emphasize other hard lines, like the jaw, like deepening nasolabial folds. Natural wave or curl breaks that continuous line into soft, irregular shapes instead, and irregular soft shapes visually compete with and soften any hard lines nearby, rather than echoing them. It's the same geometry as the curtain fringe, just applied to the whole head instead of one section. The result is almost always described the same way by women who make this switch. They say their face looks less severe, or gentler, without a single thing about their actual features changing. That's the fix working exactly as intended. Softness surrounding the face changes how every line within it reads, even though nothing on the face itself was touched. A woman named Louise told me she'd flat ironed her naturally wavy hair every single day since she was in her 30s, treating her own texture like something to correct rather than something to work with. When her stylist finally cut her hair specifically to support that natural wave, and showed her how to diffuse it instead of fighting it every morning, she said the strangest part wasn't how it looked, it was how much time she got back, and how much softer she looked the very first morning she let it just be what it naturally was. Before, daily flat-ironed hair creating one hard, continuous line down each side of the face. After, soft, diffused natural texture cut specifically to support the wave, creating irregular, gentle shapes that soften every line nearby. This is the quietest change of all 5, and often the one that gets the most comments from people who can't quite say what's different, only that something is. You now know the 5 habits quietly working against you: flat one-length cuts, a center part with no dimension around it, flat uniform color, hair held rigid by length or teasing, and texture straightened into hard lines it was never meant to hold. Every single one of these has a fix you can ask for by name at your very next appointment, and that's real, usable power in your hands. Tell me in the comments which one of these 5 you're most guilty of. I read every single one. Next week I'm covering the exact questions to ask before any color appointment, so you never leave the salon disappointed again. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.